Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's show. We are proud to present from the Three Blokes, a Ball and BOD Group of global online live rugby shows, the newest addition to our family, the Ulster Rugby Roundup show, White Walkers, Chat and Crack. It's now time to stand up for the Ulster man. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Joining Big Joe Shep, founder and chief bloke of Three Blokes, a Ball and BOD, it is the head of the White Walkers. He is the Night King himself. It's the one and only Nigel Quigley.
Hi, Joe. How are you, folks?
Did that
I'm
work?
a nice guy, really. You know.
I'm hoping that worked. I'm looking at the lads in the green room. Nigel, how are you? Great.
Fantastic. Good to get this off the shelves at last and online. Fantastic. Welcome to the show, folks. This is our first one. What we're going to discuss tonight. This is all going to be about all things Ulster Rugby. Tonight we're going to discuss the history of Ulster Rugby, where it began, where it came from, who was behind that. We're going to have a look at structures. We're going to have a look at club rugby. We're going to look at, over the next few weeks and months, we will be looking at all aspects of Ulster Rugby, but we do want to include club rugby, grassroots rugby, everything at every level. And we'll be covering these as we go along. But tonight we're going to look at the history of the club, the history of the province, and we're going to look at the structures. And we'll discuss a little about where Ulster have got to and where we've come from. And really looking forward to it. And really want you to get involved. So fans, please get involved. Joe, I think you have a couple of thank you.
Yeah, a couple of shout outs. Just before we do, lads, if everybody who's watching tonight can, obviously it's going out live through our own page, but that's the link again. If you can go and like and follow that, it means you'll get all the latest updates from everything that's happening. We have for this one, this is the first of the shows, it's got its own web page. The show's going out tonight through the Ulster Rugby Roundup page. And what you'll see there, it's not another forum. It is there to complement the Ulster Rugby forums around the globe, and there's a number of them. So we're not there to compete with anybody. We're there to complement and work together with people to bring the story of Ulster Rugby, both internally and externally across the globe. And to thank you, first of all, the opening credit there, stand up for the Ulsterman. I found that today. It was from somebody called KV on YouTube. No subscriber to the page. I don't know whether it's a man or a woman. I sent them a message contacting them. But anyway, I just thought as a fans-based, community-based show, what a fab way to do it. So it's in the public domain, it's fair use. But apart from that, it's a fan that was sitting in the stand. So if you know who KV is and was at the game on, I think it's the 20th or the 22nd of January this year, then give him a shout out. Get him to contact us at the Ulster Rugby Roundup show or Three Blokes, a Ball and BOD. And thanks very much for allowing us to use it, because it's a great way to open the show. So KV, thanks very much for the opening intro. Until we get our own one made, but there's a bit of credit for you as ever. I'd like to say thank you to the White Walkers team. Like everything, it doesn't come around easy, and we've been working on this one for a few months now. Myself and Nigel also have been friends a long time, working on these shows. And the same actually with two of our other guests tonight. So we put together the idea of doing a show, but that just looks, it doesn't just look inwards and downwards at Ulster. But as Nigel said, it goes from everything from the ground up, grassroots, schools, the academies, and all the way up to the test level, and how a successful leading team like Ulster former Heineken Cup winning champions, don't forget, who provide a good number of the Irish national squad, how that affects them. So we want to look inwards and downwards. We've got a crossover with South Africa with a number of players. We've got a crossover with Leinster, absolutely. Don't even know what, Leinster, there we go. Because we give you one or two of our players as well, but we like to share the love around the 4 provinces. It's just a fallacy that we don't. So to all the guys in the White Walkers team, so we've got obviously Andrew, Chris, Colin, David, Jared, Gregor, Ian, Kieran, Ross, Paul, Raymond, Richard, and Nigel himself, the Night King himself. And for those of you who are watching from other parts of the globe, like Connacht and places like that, or New Zealand, why the White Walkers? Well, it all goes back to very simply, it's a bit of cracking banter with ourselves and the lads that we've had on the main show, because obviously this is where the Game of Thrones was filmed, so we're all called White Walkers, and it's stuck because they've got a white shirt. So that's where White Walkers chat, and CRAIC is CRAIC for people who've never seen the show before or have never been to Ireland. CRAIC is Irish or Squailga for fun. So there we go. That's what it's all about. We'd like to say a big hello to Nigel Andrews and his team from the Western Australia Ulster Rugby Supporters Club as well, who have welcomed us in, and they'll be watching on catch-up. So to Western Australia and to Nigel and the team, welcome. Always great to get the message and to connect around the globe. And you will see running along the bottom there of the page, and you will see that on the post we did today, we are, as ever, supporting 2 local businesses during COVID-19, our good friends at coffeedog.ie. Go to them for premium coffee, ground and beans, hot chocolate, chai latte. And if you use the promo code SHEP, capital letters SHEP, as in Dog Shep or Big Joe Shep, you get 20% off. So thanks very much to coffeedog.ie for that. And we're also proud to be working with and supporting, I have to get this right, because as we found out on our Springbok and South African Roundup show, half Scouse, half Irishman trying to speak Afrikaans is just complete and utter dread. It's just, even BOD, and that's name. BOD has a name for every show, as everybody knows. Of course, in our things, so he's BOD. Imagine saying it as in BOARD, BOD. So BOD will be on the shows at some point in the future. But to our good friends at, and I'm going to try to get this right, Kinako Biltong, who are an Ulster-based company who do the 100% Irish beef. So it's the dried beef with lots of different flavors and everything in it that comes from South Africa. Biltong, a bit like jerky, only Jesus, it's a different life apart. And they do the little meat bites as well. Absolutely fantastic. The important thing is run by Ilse and Alana van Staden, who are both rugby players from Ulster at Ulster level. Sort of both of them have been. In fact, Ilse, South African born, still there, and she played as prop for the Irish women's team in the 19, forgive me for that one, Ilse, or Bridie, as she is known here locally, in 2017 in the Women's Rugby World Cup. So we're supporting them, and you can go to, we've got the details running on the bottom, support local while we can. And and final thank you is for Kigo from down my neck of the woods here for doing a lot of the shares out today and finding solutions around Facebook. That's me, mate. What have we got on there first of all? What do you want me to do?
Well, first up, we're going to do our fan in 5. For those familiar with Joe's shows, we do this quite often. And tonight we're going to be chatting to a gentleman called Chris Brownfield, who is the co-founder of South Wales Ulster Rugby Supporters Club. And I would say quite a few of you are aware of this because he's online quite a bit. They've been hailed by Johnny Petrie himself, if I'm not mistaken. And I had a pleasure of watching quite a few of his videos. So, Chris, welcome to the show, mate. Great to see you on.
Wonderful. Thanks very much. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, we can indeed.
Good stuff. Thanks,
just for anybody listening, can you explain how South Wales URSC came around?
Do you know what? It was a really, really random day out, really. My lovely wife and I were in Asda down here in Collycott in South Wales, and going through the store, and up ahead of me, I seen a boy wearing a green and white GAWA, green and white army shirt from Northern Ireland football. And I just went, "Hey, boy, what's the crack?" And he turned and he goes, "What's the crack with you?" And we just got chatting, really. And it turned out he was a big Ulster fella, a guy called Joe Stevenson here in Collycott, only about a mile from me, really. So got yarning about 50 minutes later into the conversation. Never seen this boy in my life. About 50 minutes in, I says, so Joe, do you go to matches? He goes, I go to loads. He says, but I'm by myself. And I says, well, you can't be because we're there. And then we said, well, what about we set up a club? Because we were very aware there was just people dotted around Rodney Parade, obviously more Ulstermen than anyone else, but we're dotted around. And it turned out we just managed to turn this club into something truly sensational. And it went from just me and Joe meeting in a shopping centre to 280 people within 3 years who get together for fan zones and just really, really enjoy a bit of cracking match day. So that's kind of the history. And a few more people have made that happen along the way.
It's fantastic. I mean, I followed. You did a lot of videos from games. I'll never forget that Congo around the bar. That was a classic. You don't remember that? You probably don't. The state you were in. But but no, Nigel, the Cooper's Arms on Ospreys Day this year. Although we got defeated, the Congo at the end of the night, you wouldn't have known it. The crack was absolutely powerful, like all evening, and we started about 11 o'clock in the morning, and well, let's just say Swansea Wine Street was quite busy on the evening by the end of it. And you interact with the players. Quite often the players will come over and have a chat with you at the end of the games, don't you? I've noticed that on the videos as well.
To be fair, our relationship with Ulster Rugby has just gone from strength to strength, and I mean, we are quite a vocal, quiet bunch, really. We keep our noise down as much as possible here in the valleys, but the players have been really, really remarkable. And since Dan McFarland and Johnny Peters come in, they've actually become much, much more accessible to the fans across the province and further afield. And it's been a real nice night. We've been absolutely hammered in terms of rain and wind and sleet, and the guys have turned around, occasionally give us applause from the tunnel, but more often than not, they're coming across. And the Ulster Rays, I have to say, for the retired Willie Anderson and of course Kieran Campbell, the respect they give us as a small club is truly remarkable, and they've got some real talent coming through as well. So it's really good times for the province since the new head shed's changed and come in with Johnny and Dan, and the new leadership has made a massive difference to things. So
tell us a wee bit about you, Chris. What is it you do for a living? What's your background?
I'm quite lucky, really. I've been blessed with the responsibility of looking after amazing people in the classroom. So I run my own training company across the UK, teaching many different people, nurses, doctors, potentially paramedics, including nursery nurses, teachers. Do you know what? There's nobody that I don't want to teach. I'm very, very blessed to get to do what I love every single day of the week, which is talking and making noise, really. But I teach lots and lots of safety-related subjects such as life support, resuscitation, complex handling of patients in really, really complex care environments, and I've got to do some amazing stuff in companies inside aircraft wings and extricating patients and also random stuff. So yeah, I'm living the dream, loving it.
It's all good stuff, though. It's all good stuff. Right. Well, we'll get on to that. Chris, we will definitely be having you on. I think you might be quite a regular on this show, actually. Listen,
very shy.
I know. Well, I've known you online for a while. You're a brilliant guy, and your page. And by the way, it's a Facebook page, SWURC, South Wales Ulster Rugby Supporters Club. Go and have a look. If you're into Ulster Rugby, join in the crack. It's good fun, especially when the games are on and the videos are playing.
Can I just say as well? Can I just say very quickly, Nigel, before I go? Yeah. It's not just for people of South Wales. Our club is well beyond the realms of the borders. England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, France, Germany, wherever. All right.
Exactly.
So, yeah, lovely. Exactly. Good luck with the show this evening.
Thanks very much. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure as always, mate. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Chris, very quickly, Chris, can you put the Facebook link into the chat tonight so other people can look at what you're doing and join you as well?
Yeah, doing that as we speak. Cheers, Joe.
Good man. Take care. Thanks, Chris Brownfield, the South Wales Ulster Rugby Supporters Club. There we go. Let me just go back to there. And we've got I'm watching on my phone as well, Nigel. I'm monitoring this as we go tonight because it's the pilot show. Because you can do that. Because I'm not seeing the numbers in the studio tonight, Nigel. So when I'm watching it on the phone, and it's looking, I have to say, mate, you're looking good. But definitely, I have got a face for radio. Who is on? Who is on tonight? Ian Gilbert, who's part of our team that put us together. Who is our ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary now from the 9 counties of Ulster, as you were, to Spain. And I think there should be a Spanish Ulster Rugby Supporters Club, Nigel. There's an idea. Ian Gilbert, you got to be getting on that one. Gerald Williamson, who's part of the team as well. Everybody knows Gerald from our main show. The absolute knowledge, phenomenal knowledge on the history of the clubs in Ireland. Good luck to Gerald's going to be on talking about the history of every Ulster club over a period of time on future shows. Should we welcome him as well? Who else have we got? Sam Graham, watching from Swansea. Sam, you're more than welcome to the show. Thanks very much. Ian Gilbert says that he looks like he needs an interpreter. Joe looks like he needs an interpreter. I tell you what, I'm doing pretty well so far. I'm still here. I haven't been turned into a White Walker, but I've had my dark glasses. I've had my lens to snood on to protect me, and I've been taking garlic, and Bod's hidden away in case he gets turned, a bit like the dragon did. It's all great crack, lads. I have to say, this has been one of the more pleasurable things I have done in recent times, putting this show together. You're all welcome. And our good friend, here we go, Gregor Galway. Gregor is part of our team. Gregor's one of my biggest supporters since I started, and I'm going to give him an extra special shout out because Gregor's involved with with the mixed ability rugby team. Get this right, Greg, otherwise you'll never talk to me again. The New Forge Taggers, I think, is on the New Forge Sports and Social Club there, and he's just a brilliant young lad who just helps us with everything. And Greg is going to be our lead for the Ulster Rugby team, our roundup team, on all things to do with mixed ability rugby. So Gregor's going to be on the show. So Gregor, thank you for all you do, mate, because without you, mate, we just wouldn't have a clue. Kept me going with everything today, including telling me about tonight's rewatch match as well. Chris Brownfield just been on. There we go. There we go. South Wales Ulster Rugby Supporters Club on Twitter and the Facebook page. Go and join them as well. Like I say, me and Nigel sitting now in Western Australia. I think we're number 32 and 33. It's almost like being a wallaby or an all black or a springbok. We've got a number. We've got a number in Wales now. There we go. Cool. On with tonight's show. There we go.
Right. We have got a double act on tonight. Well, double act and not they're brothers, but they're going to discuss different things. We have they're regulars on some other shows. They've appeared on Three Blokes of Ball and BOD reasonably often, including Ulster shows. Very knowledgeable guys. Looking forward to having a chat with them about this. We've got David Topping, who's going to be discussing where Ulster began and the history of Ulster Rugby. And then we've got Richard Topping, who will be discussing structures and training. And just as if by magic, there they are. You see, it wasn't me. How you doing, guys?
Super nice. Thanks again for having us on, and to Joe for facilitating us rowdy White Walkers from the north.
Ah, well, it's time he felt
soon to a beyond the wall near you.
I'm just glad you finally brought me down from the wall.
yeah. I think I'll have to get an extra special visa next time I come up. In all seriousness, people know I lived up there for a number of years, and I'm backwards and forwards in a couple of guises. But it is a genuine pleasure, and I look forward to.
Don't you worry, Joe. We know if you're up. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah. I'll be on BOD. I'll be flying on BOD over the wall.
I'll get a little buzz on the phone. It'll be kicking the action time, guys. All right. Fantastic. David, I know you're the man for this anyway, of course, because tell us a bit about where Ulster Rugby began and where it came from.
Well, I think to start where Ulster Rugby began, I think we actually have to go back. Okay. My son's in the wings as always. Really, to start off with Ulster Rugby, you have to go slightly back just before the formation of the IRFU, and we have to go back to the North of Ireland Football Club, which is based in Belfast. It was one of the first clubs formed around 1868, and in that era, you had other teams like Dungannon and Queens were set up around that time as well. But rugby was overseen by two organisations. You had the Irish Football Union, and also you had the Northern Football Union of Ireland. And I try saying that after a couple of shandies. And the Northern Football Union controlled most of the teams in the Belfast area, whereas a lot of the other teams based in Ulster were controlled from the Irish Football Union. So ironically, two unions were controlling most of Ulster Rugby. Now, obviously, then this leads to the amalgamation of those two, in which, and this occurred in around 1879, if I'm not mistaken. That led to the formation of Ulster Rugby, Leinster, and Munster. Connacht followed a few years later. I think it was 1885, if memory serves me correct. And this is where the provincial rugby started to form. From there, in the mainly amateur era, the Ulster team was mainly used as a breeding ground for Irish rugby trials. So any players wanted to get onto the Irish rugby team, they had to take part in basically inter-pro competitions in order to get onto the teams. That led to the formation of the Inter-Pro Championship, of which Ulster won 26 times. Leinster have won 31. However, in the first ever Inter-Pro game, Ulster managed to beat Leinster, which is a feat I'd like to see repeated a bit more often, if I'll be honest. But what it came down to was in 1875, the first ever international was organised between Ireland and England, of which 8 players from Ulster took part. The ironic thing is that when this was set up, no Ulster, only one Ulster club was invited to the meeting, and that was Monaghan, along with a school which myself and my brother are very familiar with, Pretoria Royal. They were invited to that meeting in Dublin, set up by Dublin University Football Club, and I believe that England won that. I think it was 3-2 in the end. From there, the Inter-Pro Championship developed. Obviously, then we have running beside that a schools competition, the Schools Cup, which now is sponsored by Danske Bank. That is the second oldest rugby competition for schools in the world. I think the only one that was some sort of wee small shield competition down in the Republic. Of that, Methodist College Belfast won that overwhelmingly most number of times at the moment, followed by Royal Belfast Institution, along Pretoria, I think, have won it 9 times if I remember correctly, shared 1. Unfortunately, when they didn't win, it was usually with a 0 scoreline, usually against Methody. But it brings us to a point where, with schools rugby being very popular and going through right from the 1800s right through to now, Ulster had to look at an academy, and they followed that academy up around 15 years ago with a basic structure going from under 16 level right through to under 18s by way of representative rugby. From representative rugby, they've taken that a little further now to a high performance pathway. Starts at under 16, recognizing players from both clubs and schools instead of just the school system, which it had been for quite some time. Then taking that through under 17 and under 18 level, where you start then looking at more representative honours, and then into 19s, they take the club and schools, amalgamate them into one stream, and then from there, it's one team, and then they fight then for places on either a sub-academy or a full academy team. And at this point now, the academy squad for this year is, well, to be honest, frightening, especially when you consider one Aaron Sexton, who can fire up a very quick 100 metres. And at this point, then, as David from the URSC South Wales branch, we have to pay tribute to Willie Anderson and Willie's contribution to both the academy and Ulster A teams for the last 15-20 years. But in a potted history of Ulster rugby for you.
Funny you're saying that. I remember speaking to Big Willie Anderson about, it was last summer, I think, and I was asking him how it was going, and he said at that time they aren't exactly growing on trees, Nigel. Yeah, I've met with him a few times, and he says we're finding them, and that was how he put it. They aren't growing on trees, but we're finding them, and I think they certainly have, haven't they? No, that's good to know, and you know, you could do a history of Ulster and talk about it all night.
Well,
Oh,
that's the job.
absolutely. Absolutely. I can tell you, Nigel, I can be here for 3 hours. You give me 3 hours, I'll be grand.
Absolutely. And if we got Gerald Williamson involved, the two of you would still be here tomorrow, I would say.
well, yeah.
And the day after that, the day after that.
I have to jump in.
Between the two of you, the knowledge is just
Gerald
mind-blowing.
Williamson himself.
It really is.
Good man, David, you have the facts. You have a vote of approval, and you win tonight. World Rugby Ball Award from Gerald Williamson for the fact that acknowledged me. Well done, seriously, mate. That's there is no better praise. Jesus, what can me and Nigel say?
Well, I'll pay tribute to Gerald. I had a little conversation with him today, and very informative.
Oh,
very informative.
The man's knowledge on the game of rugby in Ireland, I think, is possibly close to second to none, if not there. It's absolutely astonishing. It's
well, if Gerald ever went on Mastermind, there's a winner right there.
Oh, he's absolutely. If he's paying you a compliment, mate, you've earned it.
I'll take it.
Earned it.
We've got our first complaint of the night, Nigel.
Who from?
Yeah, Johnny Whopper, my old friend Johnny Whopper. Says apparently I need to put £1 on the kitty every time I mention.
You know what, Johnny? That gets my vote, mate.
Yeah, motion carried.
I'll tell you. Look, because it's because actually, Johnny, in fairness, the team, just so that people don't mind my length of offense.
Oh, we just take 20 quid off them at the start of the night and be done with it.
Well, if somebody sends me an Ulster top, I shall wear an Ulster top. But there we go, Johnny Whopper. In all seriousness, you're right. I won't mention that L word again.
Would you wear an Ulster top, Joe?
What's that?
Would you wear an Ulster top?
Of course I would, sir.
Martin Buggy would fall out with you forever.
I've worn many colours in my time, sir, as you well know. Moving on. Jim Ferguson, what's the crack? Keep it lit. Good man yourself. Great to see you on. Rob McGeechan. Rob, great to see you on, mate. Great chat the other day. Rob, former player and coach in his own right. Brilliant. Going to have Rob on in the future, discussing a lot of community and grassroots stuff and how that's adapted through playing and then finishing playing and stuff like that. Great man to have on. Rob McGeechan. Great stuff there. Mike James says, looking well, Topper. Been a while. There we go. And Gerald Williams says, easy boys. Gregor Galway says, guys, you go to an all-Ireland forum. Guys, was facts about every club's on. Oh yeah, sorry, the AIL forum. Yes, indeed. I'll try and while Richie's going to be talking, I'll try and dig out the. I'll stick it in. In fact, we'll stick it in the comments afterwards. Gerald Williamson and Peter Searson run. In fact, I'm a mod on that as well. The AIL, which stands for people watching outside, is the All Ireland League. So our club rugby, if you like, up to sort of the below provincial level. The All Ireland League and the All AIL Rugby and Club Rugby. So that's all the clubs and really everything that's non-provincial. And it's a fab site for everything to do with club rugby in Ireland. And Gerald's in there as well. And obviously he's doing the history of every club that's ever played in Ireland, more bite-sized chunks as well. And again, this is all part of the team. You know, there's the 16th man Ulster Rugby Supporters Club. There's the Ulster Rugby Supporters Club as well. There's Ulster Rugby Lad with Peter Lockhart. There's obviously the South Wales with Chris's team. There's Nigel Andrews' team in Western Australia. There's if I've forgotten anybody else, there's lots there, guys. We are there not to compete with each other, but to complement each other and work together to spread the love of rugby. Nigel, quickly.
And just on that, if there are any other groups out there that we've missed or are not aware of, let us know, because we'll include you in the next show. We'll make sure that people are aware of who you are. Any Ulster clubs out there, globally, in Ireland, England, wherever, let us know you're there, and we'll make everybody else aware you're there as well.
And the small clubs as well. So the regional clubs like Ballyclare and Lurgan. We got Raymond Aitchison on as part of the team helping us there, who's the chairman at Lurgan. Phenomenal stuff that they are doing.
Good club, Ballyclare. I might add. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna look at it from Finishowen in the north over to Donaghadee.
So if you're a page or a group and you want to be part of it, then send a message through to one of the team. We'll join it. We'll integrate with you, and we'll get you on the show and give you a shout out about what you're doing, because this is fan-based community rugby from the ground, from grassroots all the way up to provincial and test level stuff. Nigel.
I had to do a shout out for Randallstown because I played there for a few years when I did play. So yeah, good club. Funny enough, I see they're doing like a lot of clubs. I'm part of the rugby culture. They're doing a lot of stuff during COVID to gather food up for food banks and for deliveries and for people who can't help themselves at the moment. So that's another conversation, I suppose, but it's something that rugby really has responded to fantastically, and it's great to see the clubs doing that.
I'll give a shout out to the City of Derry Rugby Club for their actually a COVID testing site at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't know that. There you go. Good shout. Good information. Richard.
What about me?
I can't tell those. I can't tell those stories. The watershed's not come yet. Was it? Just about. Hey, mate. We're going to want you to talk about structures and academies, and you're involved in youth training. It's something you do. So if you even want to start with that, it kind of ties into some of the things that David's discussed. But it's just to put a little bit more meat on the bones of how club rugby and youth rugby is set up in Ulster, particularly.
So this year's probably the biggest massive change for all of youth rugby this year in Ulster. We've had the change from the traditional 13s, 15s, 17s, 19s to actually moving to 14s, 16s and 18s. So big changes in terms of age group, because once you leave the 18s section, it's kind of senior rugby area.
Yeah.
You're straight into the big boy rugby. I'm no spring chicken myself anymore, but still trying to put all the pair of shorts against an 18-year-old's a bit of a daunting thought for an old codger like myself. So I think, as my brother said, you think about all the clubs that we have, I'm not too aware of too many clubs that don't have a good youth section. If you think about the quality, again, we spoke on this in the very first Ulster show that we had, Joe. The difference in quality between the club scene and the school scene is absolutely remarkable. There's probably not an awful lot of support there for the club fellas. Once you're out of school, if you're not at a rugby playing school, it's difficult to get into that sort of pathway. And I think something we'll probably touch on later as well is how can we bridge up the magnificent setup that school rugby has. When you've got people like the Ulster, what's his name? Dan Soper. When you've got him coaching you, a guy of his quality and class who's played, really, really good standard of rugby, to, Todgers like me who've tugged out at school level for myself, our school, and then went straight to club rugby, not a lot of that in-game experience. So I think it is something we do need to work on to bridge that gap. Once we get into the sub-academy, the schools, or the sub-academy academy, it all becomes a really professional outfit. I know one or two guys who I work with are borderline sub-academy players, and those guys are just machines, absolute machines.
Do you think though that, and we're only talking about a season or two since changes started to come in at Ulster, is that changing? I mean, it seems to me slightly, perhaps it is, that we're seeing maybe a few more club people come into the scene. I saw something, correct me if I'm wrong, it may well be, was one of the lads that played for the under-20s, not from Randallstown Club. I'm pretty sure he was, actually.
Your knowledge will be a bit better on. I
think he was. I think one of the lads that played, and I think he's in the sub academy now. I'm not sure if it's the scrum half, but there was one of them who, because I've seen it actually, I was on their page and they were talking about him. Randallstown lad, Adam McBurney. Adam McBurney's a Randallstown lad, sure, isn't he? Yeah, he is. Yeah, so are we seeing that a little more now, or is that a very recent thing?
It's probably a really recent thing, Nige. To be honest, I think when you think about the two Larne lads who were in the under-20s extended squad as well for the World Cup, two club players playing, considering all the quality players that we've got across the border with our friends in Leinster, that's massive for probably the cesspit of Ulster. Sorry, anybody watchers from Larne, the coldest place in the world. But when you've got two guys from Larne who are thereabouts, that's fantastic. And I think when when you have that sort of jump from 18s to senior rugby through the potential sub academy and the representative teams, you've got a really good opportunity to not just to bleed those young guys. You know, if they don't work out, you're going to get a fantastic club player back.
Mm.
And
Can I jump? Two quick points I'm noticing there because I'm monitoring the phone and monitoring the stuff coming through. Mark Hunter's just mentioned me in a message, but I can't see it. Mark, I'll pick up on it later. One of the things that happens with Facebook cards is we share it across the group. Unless we come back to the source page, I don't get to see the comment in the studio there and then. So my apologies. It comes up and tells me that I'm mentioned in a comment or we're mentioned in it, but unless it's onto the source page, it's a Facebook thing, lads. We will follow up with everybody else. But thanks for whatever you're watching in the globe. Thanks much for watching and supporting our first of our monthly Ulster Rugby Roundup shows. Whitewalkers Chat and Crack with your main host, the great Night King himself, Nigel Quigley, and Big Joe Shep. We've been joined tonight by Chris Brownfield, who runs the co-founder and who runs the South Wales Ulster Rugby Supporters Club, and we've got Dave Topping and Richard Topping, commonly known as Reggie. You can see the similarity. No point putting a beard on. You just, that's just the way it is. There's a great one. We are going to be covering a whole pile of things in the future. So what I'm going to do tonight is pick up on a couple of things you've done. Fab, guys. I mean, I'm just soaking up this information. But it's been really, really good. So we will be covering a show at some point in the future. The way the roundup shows will work, when rugby is back fully, Nigel will be the main host. You won't see me that often, which is great. Face for radio. We all know the score. I'll be producing. Nigel will be on with a little number of different, with the sort of current and former players and coaches, administrators, fans, people like the good guys themselves who know all of the stuff. But we will be covering things like schools and clubs. And because I have a personal thing about rugby whereby there should be more from clubs coming into the provincial setups. I believe that there should be an overarching academy in Ireland over the 4 academies. So the ones that fall out of the academies that don't necessarily work, they go somewhere else. So they're not lost to the system. I believe we have the place in Rugby Academy Ireland run by the great Dan Sale in Canterbury there. That would work for me. Again, it's another layer, but it's a layer that we're not losing people from. So I don't believe there's enough coming through from clubs. Reggie, you bring up some brilliant points, mate, on that, and the whole schools thing. But the schools being sub-academies, they are de facto another top elite level club, aren't they? And it's how we play the youngsters, and I think that's the problem. We've discussed this before, lads, haven't we? But that's where the problem lies, how you find a balance between the elite schools who are best in straight to the province and the clubs and stuff like that. And I don't know why I have the answer. But here's the thing for anybody watching outside of Ulster tonight, or if you're not an Ulster fan, this is the same problem that you will have in Australia. This is the same problem you'll have in South Africa or Argentina or any other developed or developing nations about how you find that balance from grassroots and being able to aspire all the way through. And that's why these shows are shared, because it's the same problem in a different shares in a different country in a different time zone. There we go.
I think also maybe Richard, did they get the, they were talking about the second level schools cup, sort of, if you like, tiers 2.
Yeah, so the big amendment to the schools cup this year is they've done the pool stage initially. I don't want to brand them as weaker schools, but the schools who haven't performed as well in the schools cup, Heineken Cup, European Cup style to get to the last 16. Top 2 teams qualified. Then you bring in the 8 big guns, your Methody, Inst, Sullivan, BRA, not Antrim Grammar, Pass. And that's how those schools are getting better, by playing more regular club rugby or school rugby. Anybody who's watching tonight, get out, support your local school. Stand out in the sideline on a Saturday morning, put a Gore-Tex top on, and go out and cheer for the kids, because sooner or later those guys are going to be replacing the guys we're watching on telly.
Well, it'll be Antrim Grammar for me, so they won't be, according to you.
Only personal opinion, Nigel. Only personal opinion. But,
I know.
The schools rugby, those guys have a massive jump from playing with 100 spectators to going to, sub-academy games, interpros. There was an interpro at Malone. Rugby Club had at least 400 or 500 people at it. the representative under 16 team played a Canadian touring team that 2 of our local club players were involved in. Over 700 fans at a local rugby club. You know, that's fantastic. And guys like me, Nige, Dave, Joe, get out, support our local clubs, support our local schools. Even if you've got absolutely no affiliation to them, get out, give the lads a cheer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We discussed that. Sorry, I was just saying that Johnny Walker was saying a bit of audio feedback. I think I've located the solution. Johnny, thanks for the feedback, mate. It's always good. I think we've located what it was, but it's I've taken them off mute now. I think it's stopped. We were discussing that this afternoon when we have been back here 6.5 years, and I've got a local club in Gorey that I haven't been near, partly because my spine and my legs are now. I'd just be sort of tempted to want to play again. I just love club level rugby. I just think it's exciting. I think so. There's part of me says I've still got 40 minutes. In fact, actually, I promised Bruce Rihanna when he was on the show the other week that I'd get a 40 minutes in me at some point. So I'm 56, and if I leave it too much longer, I'm not going to make it. But I'm inspired by old Colonel Sir Tom.
No, Joe, no. No, don't. No.
Yeah, you can imagine me and Bod wankers now, couldn't you? I don't think I'd prop again, but me and Bod would be the scrum half with me, but there we go. Yeah, it is one of those things that encouraging people to get out and support more. But yeah, fabulous. It's great.
Well, a rugby club I'm inspired. It's great camaraderie. I mean, rugby is, you know, I saw a thing recently where somebody said 10 guys from 10 rugby fans from 10 different countries go into a pub, and I can't remember what we talked about, but I made 10 friends that night. You know, that's rugby. And we need more people to go out and experience that. It's a culture you'll buy into once you experience it. And they need the support, frankly, and they do. You know, they need people coming in, buying pints behind the bar, shouting for the team. You know, they do. All I could do is then paying our subs and talking crap at the bar and watching the games. You know?
Reminiscent of the 1960s.
I was born in 1960. Behave yourself, fella. Mind you, it's funny what we say about Antrim Grammar School. Like, I went to Ballyclare and I don't recall ever losing a game to Antrim Grammar School.
The only time we ever like to go play Antrim is usually first week of the summer, because see, any time after that, where Antrim Grammar's based, it's cold. It's horrible. If it rains, there's no shelter. Like, the pitch is in the middle of a field in Antrim. You're going to get soaked. So,
well, actually, you know it's all rebuilt around there now, don't you?
No idea. No idea.
There's a new integrated high school on those pitches. They've moved that pitch. I think it's just moved. It's moved further back, isn't it? I think they've just moved it further back. Oh no, I think they did that before. Anyway, never mind. You never played up the Rashi Road at Ballyclare then, obviously.
I played at some grounds. I have fond memories of playing in any show on a very cold Friday evening under lights, and leaving the pitch at halftime thinking I had lost 10 toes. So, no. I don't.
On club rugby, I mean, I know there was a general feeling in the previous year that club rugby was really struggling. Obviously, this COVID's not going to help anything, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Where are we now with club rugby at lower levels? Club rugby, yeah, you know, like Junior Cup, Towns Cup.
So you got the junior, the Towns. You've got the bigger senior clubs playing in the All Ireland Cup. But really, you've kind of got there's so many different mad names for the names of the cups. I think there's you've plucked me absolutely, Nigel. So I've absolutely no idea of, but there's really the McCambly Cup, the Ulster Cup, all those types of jeepers. What else have we got?
Some of those lower cups I would have played in.
Yeah. Nice. I've turned out for one or two cup games, and it's a different atmosphere. It's a different feel. You know, it's like when you play an Interpro, or when Heineken Cup comes to town at Kingspan. You know, get you. Johnny's just mentioned the comments. The Crawford Cup. Good man, Johnny. Save me there. But yeah, like cup games across. You know, they bring all the Alaka-do's and Alaka-don'ts behind the club, and you get that kind of camaraderie that you don't get anywhere else. And it's like when Ulster play Clermont, you get that extra buzz around the Kingspan. I'm sure, Joe, when you watch your province behind, the Night Champions Cup, fantastic atmosphere in the RDS or the Aviva.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it is. I think it. I think you can take rugby at all levels, lads. I think it's but everything's cyclical, isn't it? It's nice to see, and we talk about the sort of like the secondary schools cup for the ones that didn't quite make it. It's almost like you say, it's like having like the old the DPCR Challenge Cup now, the Amliners was, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's all part of this leveling aspirational type stuff, rather than having this level here and then there's a bloody big void and then there's nothing. So I think some teams will always be in that, if you like, the Division 2 type cup. Nothing wrong with that, because you know what? They're still aspiring to win it, to win a trophy. And one day they might just have a couple of great seasons where they can, go through. But if it's not there, then it's a bit like the English Premiership. Not to say the English Premiership, but ring fencing a competition where nobody can aspire to get through. What's the point? So what you're talking about, I think it's a massive step forward, and I think across the island of Ireland, in fairness, the IRFU and the 4 provincial branches in Ulster, Munster, Leinster, and Connacht are doing a fab job in with what they've got in limited circumstances. We're not a bloody New Zealand. We don't have, at the end of the day, we don't have those resources. We don't have those capabilities even. So I think what we are doing is moving well towards it. Can we cover a little bit about your own thoughts? I know David's coming back in a minute. He's just had to nip off for a sec. The glory days of Ulster winning the Heineken Cup to say 2 years ago, because it is cyclical, and this is why I wanted to do this now, because I remember back in 2018 we did our first Ulster Rugby special. The weekend after, there was a spot of bother, and it wasn't that spot of bother. It was just almost like the end of a natural cycle in any organisation, and that's And then we did another one in 2019 where we could start where Johnny come in, and Johnny Petrie, the CEO, had come in from Edinburgh, and we started seeing that rise. So from the Heineken Cup, those halcyon days of winning a Heineken Cup, where Ulster were some team, Jesus, the lads, and then what's it like for a province going from that and then just seeing where there's so many times you could have had the same thing again but didn't quite, but both of you, Nige, maybe start and.
Well, it's I mean, I think we had, we were very up and down, and we have been very up and down since then. We've almost got there with the finals and
all the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, got to key important games. I mean, even last season, we went to, the RDS and almost pulled off a fantastic win against Leinster.
We were lucky.
2 weeks later, we went to a semi-final in Glasgow and got thumped. We just didn't turn up for that game, and it was a different team. Ulster just didn't play nearly as well that night. And we've had a bit of that over time. There's a lot of stuff that's gone on. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I can have my opinions, and I'm sure Richard would have his and David would have his, why Ulster went, for me, a bit stale. But not on the player front, but on the club and the management front. There seemed to be an awful lot of focus on marketing this fantastic product, this fantastic stadium, but there was not enough being done on the pitch and not enough being done on the players. I'm not a particular fan of Mr. Nusafora. No, not many Ulster players fans are regarding Ruan Pinar, and I think there was alternatives they could have used there, alternative way of dealing with him. But you can't take away from what he's insisted happened at Ulster and the massive clear out that was done both in the backroom staff, management, and the player base. And we now have an academy producing quality players. We now have a sub-academy producing quality players, and we now have a first team that on its day is competitive with anyone. And we haven't even finished the second season since the changes. That's a hell of a to what they've done and what actually Johnny Petrie and and Dan have done. I mean, they've turned this province around on every front.
100%.
But I think those changes 2 years ago, you could probably go back another 6 or 7 years and say nothing much changed in that period. That was what I would call maybe a stagnant period. We did get to a final, we did get to a semi-final, we got to a quarter-final, but we just couldn't push on and finish it off. And I think 2 seasons ago, or before the changes happened, you could see the player base. The players weren't responding. There was just a malaise to it. The club, everybody felt it, including the fans. So things had to change, and they did. And it's been onwards and upwards since, I think. I mean, Ulster Rugby is in a good place at the moment, I think. I mean, they're
definitely from an outsider's perspective, I'm just going to add David back in.
Yeah.
It is a 3-2-1 back in the room. There we go. Dave, welcome back. It has been a miraculous journey from an outsider's perspective. When you see, for me, it has, obviously I don't understand sort of the structures fully inside. I know a little bit more than most, but it is seeing Johnny Petrie come in as a young, bright, shining example of a young CEO who wants to make change but has the common touch. We heard from Chris Brownfield of South Wales how Johnny engages with them, both when he sees them and online and stuff like that. That's just fab. I mean, that's what you want from the top.
Johnny Petrie, before he took up the job, as I recall, he actually
went to some games.
Just went and seen some games and stood with the fans. I'm sure he was recognised. He had to be, but he went. He didn't announce himself. He just went and watched some games with the fans, chatted to the fans, got their feedback, watched the game. I mean, he wanted to understand it at every level, and that's a good thing for somebody wanting to run a club. And I think his predecessor didn't do that. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think Mr. Logan had more enemies across the fan base, given that he wanted to turn us into a world-class product in 5 years. I think when you think about his monopoly head getting the bums and bums on seats was not the impact he had with fans. And just to touch on the point now, you think back to '99, what a wonderful win, fantastic. And you think about the years that followed with Solomon. We went unbeaten for 4 years in Europe. Nobody beat us at Ravenhill, and then hit the fan. You start to go downhill. We lost McCall. He wasn't getting the results. We lost Williams. Wasn't getting the results. Didn't get the backing from Logan. Didn't get the money. Brian McLaughlin came, in my opinion, wrongly treated, shown the door. Then you've got Kiss of Death. Les Kiss came across and absolutely, I don't want to say destroyed, but wrecked what bridges we had kind of tried to repair.
Do you not feel Les had kind of, maybe without even knowing it, because I mean, he must have been an IRFU appointment, and it was a bit of a poison challenge that he took over as well. I mean, when you have to start separating your coaches on the training pitch, you've got problems.
Yeah, and I think that comes from the top down. No, Nige, if you've got Les Kiss was a coach for Ireland, he wasn't a manager. He wasn't an enforcer. Would anybody stand up to Stuart Lancaster? Would anybody stand up to Johan van Graan?
Absolutely. You're right. And I think what has changed for us is Johnny Petrie coming as CEO and Dan McFarlane coming as coach, and they've brought in. You've got, again, as I'm sorry, I've seen some of your academy players coming through, and there's a feel about the place. And there's a feel about when I talk to you lot about it. Yeah. And there's a feel about the whole thing. That's just, I was just like watching this rise. And I remember saying at the time when Johnny came in, the first time I heard him speak, I thought, this man is going to change. At some point, I will sit down and have a meal with this man because he just inspired me in simplicity. He went to games. It's just he has that common touch. And it's just his whole manner. I don't know that much about. I haven't seen that much of Dan speak. But the way that I think the academy players have come through, the way that they've structured, the mindset that they've changed, and the approach has been absolutely fab. Bringing in a few players, from through some externals. I know that's another show where we're going to say, what's the happy mix between homegrown academy schools and outsiders. I think you do have to have some outsiders come through. Great to see Marty Moore come back, Nordy Murphy as he is now.
Great to see Jordy. Actually, it was great to see Jordy extend because that was the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was great to see Jack
You know,
McGrath extending too.
extended as well. Yeah.
You look at the young guys we've got, and sorry for stealing your thunder on this, Joe, but you think of, Eric O'Sullivan. You imagine learning off a British and Irish Lion. You imagine learning off a man who's that many caps for Lent.
Talent and some of the external stuff. It's that balance, because there's just not enough coming through to be able to do that. If there was, then you wouldn't need them. But I tell you what, coming into an organisation from the outside and bringing previous experience at the test setup and stuff like that. Marty Moore was written off by most people when he went to the UK. Came back, he was one of my favourite players at Leinster, Marty, and I still think he's a great pop by him and Jack, and I just think it's a fab mix now. Listen, we're up to 55 minutes already. Can I just get a couple of minutes from each of you for the viewers, just to what would you like to see to finish off the show? What would you like to see the Ulster develop with in the next sort of 2 to 3 years, David, to start with?
For me, certainly a continuation of the tactical knowledge which is being instilled at the academy level. When you see, and even just in the last couple of years, you see even improvements in Stockdale, Ballacoon. Ballacoon's he's been tagged already. Even the Pro 14 club website today, I ran a great article on Ballacoon, and obviously looking at it from his time down in Enniskillen, great for Manor County, right through up to his debut in the Ulster team, and obviously looking beyond. You're going to have guys like Ballacoon, Sexton, Tom O'Toole. You've got these players who are coming through. You've got these players who they're going to take multi-year contracts because they see what's happening there. They see what Dan McFarlane has achieved. Even Johnny Petry's vision, I think, is going to come to fruition in the next 2 years. So I can really see Ulster being quite the powerhouse and really challenging Leinster and Munster, and perhaps overtaking one of them. By the time we get to the end of that 2-3 year period.
Excellent stuff. Just before we move on to Reggie, I don't disagree with any of that. Great to hear. Just before we move on to Reggie, Gerald Williams has said it's also got a couple of good young players coming through. Just mentioned some of them there, along with a couple of seasoned players. John Cooley, I just really hope John gets a good run in the Irish setup once we start back again. I hope he hasn't missed that opportunity. But he has really blossomed since leaving Connacht, and his foundations at Leinster. Of course, let's not forget Johnny Whopper, just for you, Reggie.
I think I really like Johnny's vision of balancing the balance sheet with performances on the pitch, and I think Ulster Rugby is a business. It's got to be run right, and I think I want to see us more focused on signings. I look at the signings we brought in this year. Last season. Sam Carter dislocated his shoulder against Bath. Didn't really see enough of him. I think we've bought young Dave O'Connor from Leinster as well. Mm-hmm. I think if you're bringing in young guys, ship off a 30-year-old Aussie. See you later, pal. Way back to the Wallabies or wherever you've came from. Matt Fatties has been a revolution for us. Absolutely quality player. Can play across the back three. Look at the vision of the signings next year. You brought Albie Mathewson, experienced All Black. Absolute housery. Absolute. Just what you want. Dave Shanahan needs that wee bit more of aggression, I think. We've got Albie for a year. Get Albie to teach Dave how to bite a wee bit. And then you brought Madigan and, Ian Madigan, such a player. We've got, a load of young out-halves, young Michael Lowry at 10. If that's where his future is, what a player to learn off other than Madigan.
Lowry's price, he's impressed me a bit.
15. Madigan was just a great operator at 15 as well. Ulster balance the signings with the balance and make sure that we don't lose sight of the end goal, which is to top Leinster as a top Irish province. I disagree with David to say we're not the third best province. Munster have, I think, their ship sailed. They've financial worries off the pitch. Connacht, which they've got a massive financial boost themselves. So I genuinely think it's between us and Leinster, and I think the Interpros coming to the end of COVID are going to be really meaty, because really what's going to decide potential Six Nations squads on top of the 2021 Leinster.
Absolutely, you're definitely in the ascendancy. That's very good. Yeah, Nige.
I'll zip through a few things here. Disagree with you on Carter. I actually think Carter is a bit of quality. I just don't think we got to see enough of him, and I think it'll be interesting to see how he goes in this little funny run in to the end of the season. I think David Connor, he was playing at a club, wasn't he, in Dublin, I think, and brought up.
Yeah.
He'd be a useful squad player. I'm not sure he'd be a regular starter, whatever. We've got, and I'm going to instantly turn into Jim Neely here. And the prop we signed, Milosevic, is it? Miliasevic, there we go. We haven't even seen him yet, and that is one big cub. He is one big.
He enjoys the spots.
I did watch him playing for Ulster, and he's not afraid of a tackle, and he carries quite a few scrums or whatever, I don't know. And Gerald Williamson's just put up a guy there, the Tullamore guy. Thanks, Gerald. I was hoping you would put his name up.
Yeah. I was going to throw up because I didn't know who it was. So who is the Tullamore guy? Please stand up, a bit like KV for the
Gerald,
intro.
but this lad's coming up from Tullamore. He's very fast. He's actually a second row, but with the pace he's got, he could play back row. He could probably play on the wing. This guy looks very, very exciting.
It's your guy Nzikwe, isn't it? The seventh player.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah.
That's him. He looks like a really, really good prospect. Look at the under-20s we've got in the sub-academy as well. Is it the scrum half? Is it Finlay you call him? The one that really caught my eye was, is it Stewart you call the
is it young Johnny Stewart, is it?
Stewart, I'm not sure his first name. The guy's a bowling ball. I mean, I watched him in the under-20 games he played. He's a bowling ball. He just knocks things over in front of him. Fantastic. You know, we got the likes of those coming through. Not this season. Maybe not until next season, the season after. But you know, I just want to see them keep going the way they're going. I think Johnny's got it on the right path. I really do. And I don't, you know, he's saying, what would you like to achieve? I think we've achieved more in a season and a half than we probably even Ulster had targeted to do. You know, we've done well this season. We didn't do badly last season. We're not there yet. We don't expect to be, but I think we're getting there, and we're getting there quickly. And everything that goes on in behind with the sub academy and the youth, that's happening as well. That's going to add to the mix as we go along with smart signings, as you say. And yes, two guys they've signed for next season I think they're both one season long signings, aren't they? But they're smart signings to allow players to come through, aren't they? You know, they're clever guys.
There's some depth. There's some depth to Ulster now.
There's depth appearing there now.
Experienced core Leinster. There's another pound. Experienced core Ulster guys. The youth coming through, and then some of the buy-ins, if you like. And you know, it's the Jacks, the Marcy Moores, the Madigans, you know, your boy coming from Ulster. You know, all of these. Albie Mathewson. I tell you what, that's some depth I haven't seen you have in 10 years, lads. And that's happened in 2 years. And it's good, smart buying in to both. And again, why was Mad Dog brought in? Because we definitely believe that a certain Captain Darling will be playing an awful lot more in around the Irish setup. You know, Billy Burns is a class player. And I think that you know, we'll see more of him down there.
But I think Joe, maybe just to say a wee bit on all of that, what we have to do is take all of that, and I mean take every single piece of it, and get it back into the community again, because that's the one thing now that they need to concentrate on is now let's bring them out as far out of the country as they can, down to Fermanagh, over the bottom end of County Down, County Armagh, bring them everywhere.
I think they do that. You get the summer camps, you know.
Yeah, but I think they should do more.
Yeah.
Interesting point just to finish on. Johnny Whopper, this is a great point to finish on. Some depth, but not enough top-level players. It works for Leinster, and I don't mind paying a pound for this.
I was just going to say there, what about Leinster then? Yeah.
Dan Levy, been out for a year. People are going like, who's Dan Levy? Dan Levy is one of the world's top back row players. Been out for a year, what's going to happen to the Irish back row?
The question is, Joe, who's he going to put out to get back in the team?
Well, and this is the point. We thought we'd lose the back row, but we didn't. We lost some props and stuff like that. But it is all there. The games will be there because the likes of who's your fullback? That's going to be playing more. Addison, yeah. No disrespect to Billy Burns, but it was Addison I was thinking of actually. Will be more and more and more. So, and I think you're going to see more. So, to answer your question, is Leinster do it, and we, the most successful side I think in the globe in the last 12 months have been Leinster Rugby, because not only of the 19 games undefeated, but because of the way that Leo and Bomber Lancaster and the whole province have built that around. Ulster are not that far behind us in doing a similar type of thing. So if it works for us, and the seamlessness, and because you are going to start having more Ulster players in the Irish get-togethers, whether they end up playing on the match day 23, but you're going to produce far more than you ever have in the last 5 years, in my opinion, and therefore you're going to need that in the same way as we needed that as well. And some of these players will be there for a year or so. I think Albie will go on to be a great coach. I think Mad Dog will go on to be a great coach as well. And I think they will. You're right, lads. They will coach some of your youngsters coming through, and it's all very astute. I don't see any issues currently with what says I'm up to £25 now. Jesus, man, I couldn't afford that anymore. I just spent my £25 buying some of the built home from our good friends up north. Right, Nigel, that's 66 minutes, mate. You want to finish us off?
No, that's really enjoyed tonight, guys. And I think we did pretty much what we set out to do, which was just a quick overview of what the show's setup will be, the format will be, a quick run through on the history of Ulster Rugby, where it came from, how it's got to where it is now. Some stuff I didn't know in there, but I never did claim to be a historian of rugby. Good chat about the youth. And actually, it gives me a little more confidence going forward with Ulster that we're starting to see the seeds of things that we need to be doing, because we are probably, population-wise, the second biggest province. We should have more players playing rugby. We haven't done a good enough job. I would refer to what you said, David, that we need to go to the community even more. But I think that's happening. I think Johnny Petrie will make sure that happens, if I'm honest. So totally enjoyed it tonight, guys. Chris, love the fan of 5. Look forward to chatting to him again. I've spoke to Chris before. He's some crack, that boy. That's when you get him. And we have a lot more people to bring on, but I'll let Joe maybe explain that more, what we've got planned for the future or where we're going with this. But fantastic, guys. As always, enjoy having a good chat with you. Enjoy listening to what you've got to say. I learn something every time I meet you. You keep it back and just feed me a little thing every time, don't you?
I'm feeding you. Joe, can I just make a quick shout out? It's a charity quite close to our club in Ulster. It's called Cohen's Fund. One of our clubmen, Daniel McNeil, lost a baby boy this year. Basically, Cohen's Fund's in his memory. They're raising money for the neonatal unit at the Royal Jubilee Maternity Hospital. So they do run loads of different events on Facebook and stuff. Check them out, Cohen's Fund. Really good, worthwhile cause to neonatal services in the Belfast Trust region.
Even better than that, mate, please feel free to put the link up in the comments afterwards, and people can have a look at it closer than themselves. But great to chat.
Good one, Richard.
I have to say, Chris Brownfield in South Wales, Ulster Rugby Football Club, thank you for coming on as our fan of 5. Yes, he will be back in the not too distant future as well. To Richie Toppin, Reggie, and to David as ever, thank you. Thank you this afternoon to Gerald Williams for calling me and to give me some background stuff. And I immediately was like, Jesus, you and David Toppin need to speak. So I got his number, put the two of them together. The rest now is history, as they say.
We've created a monster, Joe.
It's just like, so the next show. So we're now into what's happening with Three Blokes, Ball and BOD is we're now getting ourselves into a monthly cycle. Since obviously last 4 months the rugby stopped, we expanded, so we now have 4 nightly shows on a Monday, the Keeper and Big Joe show, which is morphing itself more towards rugby and sport and lifestyle and coaching and development. We're going to have a bit of live music on there. We're going to have a bit of comedy on there as well. So that's to watch the Keegan Big Joe show. So watch out for that one. The Wednesday, the flagship show, Three Blokes with Ball and BOD. I have dropped to every 2 weeks, so we can give an equitable split across the piece for all the shows. And then the Thursday, the very hugely successful currently Springbok and South African Rugby Roundup show with our friend Andy Daniel in Paarl, in South Africa, and Drie Bokke, a Ball and BlitzPod. The 3 2-weekly, bi-weekly shows, fortnightly shows, and then we've got the Leinster Line with Jeff Pagano from Half and Rugby, Keegan Kino Millio, and Gerald Williamson on that one. The Ulster, and then we've got a Welsh Rugby Roundup show starting on the 10th of August with Renald Phillips and Brandon Smith and Nathan Parker and Adam Clark. We added an Englishman into a Welsh Roundup show, all will become apparent why, because anything without a reason. Next show for us for Ulster is I'm just having a look on the diary there. I think it drops to monthly, so it is Thursday the 23rd of July. The next one is going to be 2100 hours. It's 9 p.m. UK and Ireland, but the time zone equivalent around the globe. And the reason why it's that time is because David Toppin is back on, because it was his idea to do this, and he is engaged with it's a commentator show, looking at commentary and commentators and sports commentary and how it all fits in and works, and phenomenal background stuff. The great Nick Mullins David has secured for the show. I've got the equally fantastic Sean Maloney, former Australian rugby player and now World Rugby commentator. Both of those are going to be on the show as well. We may have somebody else. You're probably not going to see me because I'll be producing the shows, but David will be on as the main host. We might have another guest. We're working on another guest who you might know. So we're just trying to tie all that in together. Whoa!
There's no pressure, Neely.
There's all. We don't want people to. So there we go. So
if you can find him, we'll get him.
Yeah. We all know by now that if somebody is astute enough to answer a friend request on LinkedIn or Facebook from Big Joe Shep, that means that you are fair game. I then send you a courtesy message. If you don't reply the first time, I'll do a quick follow-up on, a few days later. If you don't get that one, then you get a photograph of Liam Neeson saying, Big Joe Shep has contacted you. We will find you. We will interview you. It's just simple as that. Nothing better than just business. It's a great bit of crack tonight, learning so much. And as for our friends watching outside and everybody who will watch and catch up over the next sort of 7-14 days or so, please go to this is going out live, and it's going out live on the Ulster Rugby Roundup show page, White Walkers Chat and Crack. Please like and follow. It is more. All our shows are more lads and girls around the globe than just an inwardly facing show looking at a club. It is how that club is structured. It is the same, any club, any province, any region, any franchise, anywhere in the globe. We all have the same problems from grassroots to test international level. We hope you've enjoyed tonight. It's my pleasure to be working with the guys, with my White Walker team. It's just fab, and like I say, you're not going to see that much of me in the future. Nigel is your main host and lead. The Topping brothers will be on, and we've got Gregor Galway's coming on, and we all sorts of people come on. It's just fab, and it's just great to be part of. Thank you to everybody who has watched tonight. We'll get around all of the other forums that the messages didn't come through. Thank you, and Nigel, thank you, mate, for being a fantastic leader.
Oh, no problem.
This forum, a real honor. Until next week, remember, stand up for the Ulster man and the Ulster woman. Good night, all.
Yeah.